So what's good, y'all? As you can see, I went with the black and the brown, but I'm back with this fit or fat video, and like I said, we're gonna be discussing the gateway to consumption, and I'm gonna tell y'all exactly what I feel like the gateway to consumption is, and you'll figure out what all that is as we go through the video. You'll also figure out what fit and fat means to me, so that way you'll pretty much get a good idea of why I pretty much decided to write this paper, or just do further my research, I should say. When it comes to the different visuals that I'm gonna give y'all, I'm gonna just put them in the video right up above my head somewhere, so just stick with me, okay? So, fit or fat, the gateway to consumption. I got my paper right here, so that way I don't skip a beat, because I don't like leaving out information, but I'm on the stairs because in life, you feel me, it's a steady climb. You dig what I'm saying? So, as long as you continue to put the left foot in front of the right foot, vice versa, right foot in front of the left foot, just keep going, everything will be okay. And continue to have a positive mindset. But your mindset can also get clouded by the different things that we consume, especially if we're consuming those things in not only in abundance, but excess also. So with this paper, I'm pretty much just gonna be telling you how to keep going and how to keep climbing that staircase to being your best self. So here we go. So let's start. No, I ain't gonna start with that just yet. So food, you feel me? Let's talk about it. So right here, I would have a slide of your favorite fast food brands and processed foods that's in stores also. So we're gonna go through some of those. So our favorite meals satisfy a sense of emptiness that we feel usually when we just feel a certain sensation for something, whether it's we're bored, we miss somebody, you're depressed, anxious, bored, thirsty, maybe even when your stomach just growls. Sometimes we even confuse being thirsty and hungry. We get those two mixed up. Even when you eat food, really, when you chew, your body naturally produces saliva, and that's what, in a sense, is helping to satiate that thirst, when really all you have to do is drink some water. Or you might have actually been hungry, but still, you feel me, drink some water before you had that meal, so that way you can minimize the amount of food that you're stuffing into yourself once you reach a certain satisfaction. You feel me? So the satiation we get from our foods affects our mental health, heart, and our immune system. Our immune system is 80% in our stomachs. So that's why we get bloated, you feel me? You get sleepy, you get the itis. The itis really stands for swollen or inflammation, to be scientific. You feel me? So if your stomach is constantly swollen, we'll get to that in a second. So some people love food so much that they consider themselves a foodie, when sometimes we're so blinded by our cravings or our love for food that we choose artificial foods also. And we overconsume, and even though we know it's bad for our health, it's like, what's still making you make that decision to do that? And if that relates to anybody, I'm not judging you at all. I I don't want to say I'm trying to help you because you might feel like you don't necessarily need help. However, this is an alternative for you to be able to maybe change a habit or two when that time rolls around and you feel like you want to do that. So do your thing. I would show a slide for cons on how processed sugars affect the body. Have any of y'all ever heard this? That sugar can be just as addicting as crack? If you've ever heard that, comment below yes or no. You feel me? Whoever told you that, tell them thank you, because they led you to this video, whether you know it or not. Subconsciously, that's why you're here. So sugar, we eat it, we like how it makes us feel, and we begin to crave it. Foods are intentionally pumped with chemicals to preserve them, to hold its color, or whatever drug dealer explanation they pretty much give you to convince you to go ahead and, oh yeah, let me try this. And it's just like, whatever. And then endorphins are released as a sense of satisfaction, and we patiently wait for our dopamine levels to rise and wait for another dose of that delicious burger, ice cream, or your favorite fountain drink. You know how some of these fast food places are pretty much giving away pop, they giving away sweet teas, they giving all this stuff away because they know it's gonna bring you right back. Like, they know it's gonna bring you back, because that sugar is just as addicting as crack. Let me see. For a while, I ain't even stunt you. McDonald's sweet tea? No, let me see. Not McDonald's. Cookout. They sweet tea? They sweet tea. I'm gonna stunt you. That shit good. It's good to you, but is it good for you? You feel me? That's the difference. That's what we gotta start taking into account. Is it good for us? Excuse me. No good. So let me see. Where was I at? Boom. And then once your dopamine is at a certain level, and it's like, oh man, yeah, this is good. Okay, I'm satisfied. Next thing you know, your blood sugar levels drop, and then it makes you crave that sugar all over again, or even more than you even did before. And now it's just like, you're not even back at square one. You back at square 0.5, because now you want it even more. You feel me? So you're set even further back into a hole. So we're gonna move on. So with that dramatic drop in your blood sugar levels, it causes your cortisol levels to fluctuate also. And that means they could go extremely high, they could go extremely low. And then whichever side of that coin you happen to be on, it can cause depression or it can cause anxiety. But honestly, depression, anxiety, I'm not gonna say it's the same thing, but it's a form of the same thing. So yeah. So back to when I said the itis, how itis really just means swelling or swollen. Sugar damages your spleen because we all have red blood cells. These red blood cells are vital to our survival, and is also known as hemoglobin or blood. And blood is made predominantly in the bone marrow. So when we eat sugary or GMO foods, those white blood cells take the place of our red blood cells, replacing those. And right here is where you find out what fat means. FAT means folic acid thalassemia. And folic acid thalassemia is an anti-red blood count, anti-red blood cell, known as white blood cells. So when these, I'm gonna just call them, when these false prophets replace what's actually supposed to be there, you feel me, these white blood cells diminish the red blood cells, which are actually crucial to our survival, helping you sustain, helping you helping you have strong bones. Like doing, I almost cuss, doing something like that, you feel me, that might bother somebody, hitting the top of their knee like that. I'm sure plenty of y'all have heard about that instance where Dr. Sebi literally dropped to his knees and got right back up. I was like, oh shit, this nigga's real. Anywho, where was I at? Okay. Now, so when those white blood cells diminish the red blood cells so much or to a certain extent, this causes age. This causes aging. Now, a lot of these different words I figured out they're acronyms. You feel me? We just have to do the research and figure out what these acronyms actually are. So just like how I did with FAT, folic acid thalassemia, boom, that was one of them. I was able to look deeper into it, see exactly what folic acid thalassemia was, and find, I don't want to say a cure, because that's some bullshit, but to find a remedy for this condition, which is pretty much what it is. And it's called a condition because somebody controls it. Who is that? Anyhow, so age. Age is acute gastroenteritis. Acute gastroenteritis. When they say you got the itis, they're only giving you a piece of what's really going on. That's like if I was to say, ooh, I got that thalassemia. Motherfuckers wouldn't be like, what you talking about? But you feel me? So when you say you got the itis, you got acute gastroenteritis, which is the swelling of the spleen and the small intestines. Okay, so back to what I was saying before. The spleen is the filter organ that regulates your blood and fights infections. So when the spleen is swollen and overused to fighting off infections and diseases, the bone marrow gets puffy and thins out due to the thinning and the slowing of the blood flow. So when your blood thins out like that, that's what causes them to kind of get like a Cheeto effect, a Cheeto puff effect, where they puff up, and that actually causes them to thin out. So when you hear people call themselves big boned, that's why. They got that folic acid thalassemia, they got that acute gastroenteritis, and the body is so smart that it conformed to those regular laws that this person was objectifying themselves to. You get what I'm saying? So, depending on the severity, blood transfusions are commonly a solution. However, blood transfusions are risky and it can lead to AIDS. And slowly but eventually death. So, AIDS really just stands for autoimmune diseases. I don't necessarily know what people consider AIDS to be. Some consider it more of like I was gonna say they consider it like a sexual type of disease, but sex itself is also another acronym, but that's meant for another video. If you want to know what sex means, comment below. I might just respond, or I might just make another video. Holla at me. Anywho, but yeah, so just being able to not necessarily add on to the white blood cell count, just actually give yourself some food that has nutritional value to it. And we're gonna get to that as we continue to go. So, how do you prevent sugar damage? The good news is that it's never too late to detect visible signs of aging. Now that you know how sugar can damage the skin, here's how you can combat the destruction, look your best, all that. So, of course, increase your water intake. And to my knowledge, the proper amount of water that one should be drinking is to take your weight. So me, I weigh 160. Boom. I would take half of that, which is 80. That's how many ounces of water I'm supposed to be drinking every day. It don't matter your age. Well, it doesn't matter how many years you've been alive. I'll say that. It doesn't necessarily matter your height, how much. One thing that gets on my nerves when people be like, "Drink water." What you mean I drink water? I drunk some juice. It got water in it. Like, just drink some water, bro. Just drink water. So, water doesn't necessarily directly impact your skin's hydration, but it does help your body to carry out the key functions that support healthy skin more effectively. Water is essential to the production of collagen and elastin and keeps your body hydrated and can improve its ability to counteract the aging effects of glycation, which is when sugar, those white blood cells attach to the red blood cells, and then they take over those red blood cells because they're constantly in orbit, as in you always eating food with no nutritional value. So drink plenty of water and incorporate water-rich foods like apples, watermelon, celery into your daily routine of hydration and nutrition. So yeah, just add in fruits that have high water content and that'll help. So number 2, obviously, cut back on sugar. It can be difficult, however, you can eliminate synthetic sugar from your diet or your eating habits, however you want to say it. I'm not necessarily able to say like how much sugar is okay, but I mean, I would assume that sugar is not necessarily good in any doses. It's just less likely to affect you extremely if you don't necessarily take it in too much. Me personally, I don't really eat too much sugar. Only sugars I eat that are like artificial for real is I like peanut butter. That goddamn honey, what is it? Honey creamy peanut butter from Kroger. Man. Anywho, that's a whole nother ballgame. Anywho, got here. So, and also, sugar can be hidden in a lot of different foods that also have sugar content in them. It's just going to be under a different name. So, for example, high fructose corn syrup. Hidden sugars also have other names like barley malt, fruit juice concentrate, and maple syrup. The worst of the bunch is high fructose corn syrup. This type of sugar found in soft drinks, sweetened drinks, and mostly packaged food stimulates the most age. So once again, age means acute gastroenteritis, which is the swelling of the stomach, and too much swelling of the stomach can actually eat at your stomach lining and cause it to break down. Next thing you know, you're having stomach cramps. I actually went through that when I was younger. Let me see, I was like 13, 14. And I was an athlete around the time, and it's just like, why is my stomach hurting like this? Like, I would just get sudden pains out of nowhere. I remember one time, me and my mom was actually in the kitchen. She cooking, I'm there, you feel me, assisting, talking about shit, most likely not really saying much of anything. And I just remember having this sharp pain in my stomach, like somebody literally just stabbed me in the stomach, and I just went down to the ground. I feel like that's when she knew I wasn't playing about that shit. Like, she thought it was a joke. I swear, my mom was working in the hospital and would never take me to the hospital, bro. I'm like, okay. I'm glad now. I've only had one surgery in my life, and that was I had to get my appendix taken off. But that's neither here or there. So, you can also supplement your diet with a lot of different things. So, A number of published studies cite vitamins B1 and B6 as age inhibitors. Vitamins like thiamine are found in green peas, sesame seeds, celery, and have powerful antioxidant properties that help fight against free radicals. Vitamin B6, which can be found in chickpeas, other type of beans, and sunflower seeds, are also essential for skin development and maintenance. Me personally, I'm a chickpeas type of guy. Chickpeas is a staple in my food, whether I'm eating pizza, whether I'm eating a wrap, whether I'm eating some hummus. Hummus is made from chickpeas, so boom, it's busting. Anywho, sunflower seeds, I like those too. Sunflower seeds were like a banana. Shit, sunflower seeds with a banana. For real. Try to tell you. Snack ideas. If y'all want any other snack ideas, comment you want snack ideas below. Just put snack ideas, question mark, however you want to put it, do you. Load up on antioxidants. Now, we get a lot of different antioxidants from our food and fruits also. But antioxidants neutralize and protect the body from damaging effects of free radicals. These naturally occurring vitamins and minerals throw a wrench in glycation, which is when white blood cells attach to red blood cells, by preventing sugar from attaching to proteins. Protein, most likely talking about your blood. Your body produces antioxidants naturally, but you can also find them in everyday foods like berries, leafy greens, and citrus foods. So let me see, blueberries, I like blueberries. Leafy greens, I prefer my celery. Let me see, what does leafy mean? Fuck, I forgot what leafy stood for. If you know what leafy mean, comment below. Help a brother out. Let me see, leafy. Another video, what leafy means, that's another video. And citrus fruits, things like limes, lemons, oranges, those type of fruits. You can even find them. In your skincare. Look for products that contain vitamin C and E, which can help with collagen and elastin to help their shape and maintain strength. So those different type of fruits and vegetables help your skin to hold their collagen and their elasticity. Bingo. So sleep can also help with, what are we helping again? Let me go back. How to prevent sugar damage. Sleep, unconsciousness, or some type of meditation. So one of our best beauty secrets is to get enough sleep, or meditation, or unconsciousness. While you're sleeping, your skin goes into overdrive, regenerating and repairing any damage done during the day. Studies show that the lack of sleep contributes to more fine lines and wrinkles, uneven skin tones, and less elasticity. But it comes down to more than the quantity of sleep. Just as important is quality. During deep sleep is when your body does the most work to help counteract the aging effects of sugar and other stressors. So anything that's stressing you, do your best to let it go. Meditate, get you some rest, clear your mind, get you some sleep. Woosah, and let's move on. So you can also try a skin detox. A detox pretty much allows your skin to have a fresh start. You feel me? So when people be talking about, let me see what they be saying. It's a clear skin type day, shit like that. I feel like every day is a clear skin type day. I ain't trying to get no bumps on my face. I don't like pimples. Pimples and scabs are like two of the worst things to me. I say pimples because that's like a form of worms for humans. Like whatever you eating is trying to come out of your skin. that means whatever you eating is on some other shit. It's like a zombie to the skin. It's just like, why is it there? And scabs, I say scabs because when you pick at your pimples, they leave scabs and scars. So to prevent scabs, scars, pimples, all that shit, cut out sugar, cut out the GMO foods. I'm not gonna tell you go vegan. You can go pescatarian. You can be a fruitarian, a waterarian. Do you? Do you? And detox stimulates a healthier environment for the skin and can encourage increased production of collagen and elastin. These changes can help increase cell turnover and improve the skin barrier overall. So overall, no, not overall just yet, fasting. Excuse me. So I intermittent fast myself. I usually do a 16 and 8 hour or a 20 and 4 hour split. But on Sundays, I usually go for 24 hours. Don't eat nothing. Let the body just completely detox itself. I damn near need to get on my Kevin Gates type shit. He talking about he fasts every Tuesday and Thursday, I believe it was. I believe he said for 24 hours. That's pretty dope though. But yeah, I do see, personally, I see different changes within myself, whether it be my skin or even the growth of my hair and fingernails, toenails. You notice the subtle differences. You feel me? Let me see. So intermittent fasting is a way to detox the entire body. When properly and consistently executed, fasting resets and replenishes our body's entire endocrine system, which is your immune system. Fasting allows the body to focus its attention on healing the body, and it more so pays attention to those areas that really need that assistance when you fast. So to detox and replenish your body's functions is to factory reset one's hard drive to continue to thrive mentally, physically, and spiritually. So overall, the hormonal imbalances make us crave, make us make irrational decisions knowingly. You feel me? Then we crash and wish we hadn't done it. You ever woke up hungover and said you'd never do it again? You probably lied to then. I did once, and let me see, I've been hungover twice in my life? Never again. Like, when I say that shit, I mean that shit. Like, I'm good on it. So, yeah. However, in that moment, you felt guilty and it was great at the same time. Excess sugar is stored as fat and the cycle repeats itself all over again. So for example, when you drink soda and you constantly feel thirsty, it's because you're constantly replacing those red blood cells with white blood cells. You ever see like when people get those white pockets in the corner of their mouths and shit and their tongue be all white? Tell their ass drink some water. If they be like, oh, I got some Gatorade right here. No, motherfucker, drink some water. All right, we're not talking about no Gatorade. Drink some water. Oh yeah, it's because the sugar is soaking up the moisture in your blood and making you crave more sugar. You feel me? So sugar is more more addicting than crack because you don't know that you're addicted to it. You don't know that you need it unless you really start paying attention to it. So I would definitely suggest start paying more attention to your bodies. Okay? Okay. Oh, and this is where I will show you a slide of products that have excessive amounts of sugar and show you some other healthier options to help replace those also. I just got done eating not too long ago, so that's why I keep burping. Let's move on. Okay. So, boom. so how many of you either want more energy, want to lose body fat, gain muscle, or just want to feel less stressed? This is all very possible through the foods and energy that we consume. We choose food as a supplement to absorb energy that we think we don't have. So, also with that statement, we sometimes decide to take in certain foods that we've been told are good for us, or that we are told have protein in them, or the most calcium, or this is the best for this, and it's just like, that's not right. It's not necessarily the best. Like, yes, these foods have what they say they have in them. Just because it has something in it that could be good for a certain organism doesn't mean that it's good for you as an organism. You feel what I'm saying? So, wow. Moving on. So would you believe me if I told you that I'm achieving all of my health and fitness goals by eating a predominantly plant-based diet? And I will show you a photo of me somewhere on here too. So, you feel me? I don't eat meat. When it comes to chicken, I'm damn near repulsed by the taste. Not by the taste, but by even the smell of it. It's just like, okay, y'all having chicken. That's what's up. You feel me? If I am gonna have chicken, I prefer it be baked. But even then, I'm good on that shit. I don't eat the skin no more. I once knew this one chick in high school. Her name was London. She didn't like to eat the skin on chicken. I just happen to remember that. If you see this, comment below. What's poppin' is? Anywho, but yeah, the skin is like, ugh. Like the meat is bearable, but the skin is just like, nah, meat. So grains, fruits, and plants, all those are known as vegetables, all have protein and other nutrients in them. Vast majority of people think that there's only protein in meat and supplements, but that's mostly because that's all that the mainstream media pushes to you, because they're all working in cahoots to get this money. You feel me? They all like, how can we get them into a cycle where it's generational, and all they doing is unknowingly, and some people knowingly, still indulging in certain habits that's just causing you to be a part of this cycle. Some call it the matrix. Let's move on. So yeah, in actuality, our bodies aren't engineered to digest meat efficiently enough to optimize our circulatory, digestive, and even our reproductive health. Somebody told me, I haven't done any further research on this, but they said a cow can only produce milk when it's been pregnant. That they can't produce milk when they are like haven't been pregnant. Don't feed your babies cow titty milk. Like, don't do that. Let's move on. If you do choose to eat meat, here are some of your best options. Somewhere on the screen. You feel me? I would suggest you go ahead and indulge in more fish. And I would suggest fish just based off the simple fact that when you even freeze fish, you go to thaw it out, you could thaw it out just like that. You feel me? But if you got some motherfucking chicken or some beef, or even some turkey, it takes forever to unthaw. And it's just like, why is that? It could be all of that. You know how they say energy is transmuted or transformed? It doesn't necessarily die. You feel me? What if all of that frozen ice that's inside that meat is all of that fear and that trauma that those animals went through during their slaughtering? Like, do fish really go through anything when you I guess all fish would. I might have to go see that new movie that came out. What is it, like the secret emotions of pets? I could see some of that stuff being true. And I just saw the preview, so let's move on. Yeah, so certain kinds of fish like salmon and tuna are good because they consume certain bacteria that is beneficial to our digestive system and our circulatory system as well. So that's usually the leanest meat that you consume because they're in water. All they eat is plants. And what's crazy is all these animals that eat plants, they don't eat meat, and they big and they strong and they have big, strong, and healthy offspring. But when it comes to people, we consume these animals and got the nerve to call them the animals. Let's move on. So, y'all ever seen that Dominion documentary that's on Netflix? I didn't even get to watch the whole thing. After a certain point, it was just like, you motherfuckers crazy. And I just had to just stop watching. You feel me? And when I say certain words, I like to refer back to the fact that a lot of words have a lot of definitions, but nothing is definite. You feel me? So it's all about what definition you decide to put on certain words that gives it its meaning, really. So whenever you're making decisions, or if you're using certain words and maybe you or somebody don't necessarily have the foundation to come to any type of agreement, just think about what the definitions are of the words that you're using and then try to perceive that situation in the best light. So yeah, let's move on. So the terror and trauma that animals go through when they're in the slaughterhouse and being slaughtered, and they being tased, and they being starved, and they put them in cages that's just like just enough for them to fit in there. All of that is stored inside of their blood. Blood is where most of your body's information is stored. My laptop on like 5%. All right, we good. So all that trauma and that terror and that fear, all of that energy is inside of their flesh, which is the food that we're consuming on their behalf. So it's just like no energy dies, it's just transformed or transmuted onto something else. So that fear, that trauma, that anxiety, that depression that those animals are going through is transmuted into those who are consuming it, and the consumption of those negative traumas in those instances in that animal's life can also conflict with your mental clarity, your sense of well-being, and it just adds on to the cycle of different things that mainstream media pushes on the majority of people to keep them a part of that cycle, such as eating sugar. So you eating sugar, thinning your blood out, And on top of that, you eating meat that's making you stressed and making you fearful, and you are what you eat. You feel me? Did you know that 9 out of 10 deaths by choking on food happens because of meat? And this is where I will show you somebody choking on some food or something. You feel me? Most likely some meat though. So humans, we're herbivores. That means that we're not made to consume flesh, whether farm raised or processed. Especially with the rise of more processed and diseased foods being discovered. Processed meaning chemicals and steroids is being processed into these different foods. It's all of this food is going through a process. And so what if those chemicals that are being processed into the foods just happen to be the process that these animals are going through? Like, they're not necessarily filling them up with any type of steroid where they juicing up and shit. Like, nah. The chemical factory is the body. So when you throw off that hormonal balance that animal has, you just transmute that imbalance onto someone or something else. You feel me? So, yeah. Adequate amounts of leafy greens and fruit will supply the proteins necessary for your body to sustain muscles, and muscles to grow and work and continue to move on. I'm gonna take this jacket off just to show y'all that, damn, I eat mostly plant foods. All right, we're just gonna toss it right down the stairs. Mostly plant foods. I don't lift heavy weights very often. On page 6, but anywho, moving on. So, slide of meats cooking. So, one thing that we really don't pay attention to is when we barbecue. When you cooking stovetop, you feel me, frying up that burger, you dig what I'm saying? Cooking meat could also be considered as a form of global warming. The burning of flesh allows chemicals and gases into the atmosphere. The chemicals, those gases, those steroids that is inside of the meats and the animal products that we're cooking and eating goes into the air. And that also can put the quality of the air around you at stake also. So don't check me, check the air quality. Okay, Larry June, holla at you. Let me see. So yeah, the burning of flesh allows chemicals and gases into the atmosphere. That's like burning a pile of dead bodies. You feel me? Just because you burn it in a small pile to make it into a patty, don't mean that, do you? Okay? These are just your options. This is just me expressing some knowledge, expressing not just something that I've happened to look up. I, of course, practice these different ways of living also. You feel me? This is what I do. TrainLikeCainFitness.com. Check out the YouTube channel. You'll see plenty of examples of that. So, plants and fruits with natural water content and sugar is meant for herbivores, humans. Good sugars in fruits because they also contain fiber, which helps flush out those different sugars too. So now we're moving on to how to count calories when it comes to the certain type of lifestyle that you live, whether it be sedentary, moderately active, and like predominantly being active. So there's two different, have you ever heard of like counting macros, like macronutrients, micronutrients? Those are pretty much just the organisms within the food that we intake that continues to fuel our bodies and fuel us in a positive way so that we continue to thrive as the beings that we are. But of course, we have to indulge in those foods first. So there are two different types of macros. Proteins, which help to build and repair. Fats help the body absorb the nutrients and then store any excess energy. But if there's too much excess energy, then that's just going to be added on fat that's just stored into your body. And then you have to try to burn it off. You have to try to get rid of it in some way, whether that's fasting, having a bowel movement, whatever the case may be. But you pretty much just want to keep yourself at a deficit when it comes to calories if you're taking in too much fat. So carbohydrates is two words put together. Anything that's combined is usually man-made. So carbohydrates are man-made and contain little to no nutritional value whatsoever. Okay. There's 4 calories per gram of protein. So I'll show you the different type of proteins, beneficial and artificial. If it's not beneficial, it's artificial. Okay. So I'll show you some of those somewhere on the screen. Check them out when you get a chance. And there's 9 calories per 1 gram of fat. So you really have to be mindful of the amount of fats that you're taking in. When it comes to your proteins and your fats, your proteins are, again, like I said, what helps to build and repair. And your fats is like what helps hold everything together. So with your fats, you don't necessarily need as much. So take a brick wall, for example. When you look at a brick wall, you're mostly gonna see brick. However, you'll also see the glue in between that helps hold everything together. So when you look at a brick wall, you got the fat, that's the gray matter, that's the fat, that's the glue, that's what's holding the building blocks, those proteins, in order so that building of that brick wall can continue to hold its foundation. So when it comes to food, just think of a brick wall. You need more protein instead of fat. Okay. So slides of fats, beneficial versus artificial. Calories is the total measurement of our entire food consumption per item, per meal, or per day, however many times you eat a day. Calories and carbohydrates is essentially the same thing. Carbohydrates is just a scientific term for calories. The amount of calories that one should consume depends on their level of activity and their desired body composition. Other factors can also influence caloric intake, like stress, activity, which is your activity level, and then thoughts. Everything starts from the mind, as within, so without. So just like how you project the world, that's the same way your world is on the inside. So try to meditate, practice unconsciousness, just unwind sometimes. Your environment can also affect your health. And also, I have a slide on here to show how to reduce stress also. So I'll just keep those up here on the screen as I continue to go. So just stick with me. So simple versus complex calories or carbs, which are carbohydrates, and those are consisting of many connected parts. So with your complex carbs, that's essentially made in the lab. Somebody had to construct it, they had to put it together in order for it to become what they needed it to be. And when it comes down to simple calories, those are basic in nature, meaning that nothing had to be added to it in order to make it into something that can be fully edible. You get what I'm saying? Or digestible, or whatever the case may be. So, same with the different type of fats. I looked up the origin of the words for saturated and unsaturated. Sat just means like to satisfy. So of course, unsat would mean that it didn't necessarily need to be satisfied. So with saturated fats, like I said, that means to satisfy or to make complete. Those are your bad fats. When you got a lot of saturated fats, that means that they needed to be put together or they needed to be constructed in order for it to become what they needed it to be. Unsaturated fats mean that it's already complete in its entirety, is not GMO. Those are good fats. Things like avocado, bananas, just to name a couple. Okay, good fats are made in nature, bad fats are made in a laboratory. So try to stay away from these places that are mass producing foods. You feel what I'm saying? Get in your own lab, aka your kitchen, make your own foods, you'll be fine. Let me see. Okay, and then I'll be showing you some different pictures of some different fast foods that are typically a lot of people's favorites, but they don't favor us. We favor them, they don't favor us. So when you think about these different foods, do you ask yourself, what is this food made of and how is it made in such massive quantities? So quick? Like, some of this stuff that's being made, like you can't even make it that fast at home unless you put it in a microwave. But those microwaves that's being processed through your food is taking the nutrients from your food also, as if it had nutrients in the first place. So, yeah, like, come on. Let's move on. Processed food is saturated with excess carbohydrates and chemicals, which, like I said before, those chemicals is really, they come from the chemical makeup of the terror, the trauma, and the fear that the animals go through while they're being put through that process of being genetically modified. So there's this myth that eating healthy is expensive, and it's not. It's really not. If you need a meal guide, you feel me, some different things that you can try out and you can add on to your menu, trainlikecainfitness.com. There will be a free nutritional guide up on the website that you can go ahead and download. The meal plan is separate since it'll be tailored to you specifically. So go ahead and download the nutritional guide. You can go ahead and get you a meal plan. On the flip side, just holler at me. Anywho, eating healthy is definitely not expensive in the long run. It's not more expensive than unhealthy, convenient foods, especially in the long run. In fact, healthy foods are less expensive in now and in the long run. More money is spent on medical bills and prescription drugs and processed food than on healthy food options as a whole. So when you add up the bills, the prescriptions, and then the unhealthy food options that you eat together, if you just substitute those three with the eating healthy in the first place, where are you really losing at? Let me know. Okay? Just throw it in the comments. Let me know how you feel about eating healthy versus unhealthy, which is more expensive, which is inexpensive. Comment below, let me know what you think. I actually got another video on YouTube showing you exactly how to eat healthy for cheap. I'll put that in the description. It'll be in the description. All right. So here's a picture for poor nutritional disadvantages. It'll be on the screen somewhere. You feel me? Wherever it fits. Eat things that naturally heal the body to eliminate additional health costs. You feel me? Kill two birds, one stone. Imagine only having to purchase foods that heal you and not everything else that temporarily satisfies your wants and needs. Real foods are your medicine and supplements. So you don't necessarily need to go out and buy supplements which come in cans and are wrapped in plastic and all of the above. Honestly, you don't necessarily need to indulge in those unless you just want to. Your wants and needs are two totally different things. So once you differentiate which is which and prioritize whichever one, then hey, do you, okay? So many of us may not have necessarily been around to see the evolution of the small chickens and the larger chickens as we see like how much bigger they've gotten, and that'll be on the screen here somewhere also, just to show you how much larger these chickens are compared to what they used to be. Like, that also translates into the children and how much sooner they're growing, whether it be young girls and their training bras a lot sooner, or younger guys going bald at such younger ages. And yeah, it's crazy. So soy is found in most, like I skipped something. Okay, so, and most of the animals are being fed soy. Soy is more of a natural protein itself. However, whatever natural means. Oh shit, I almost dropped all this shit again. Whatever natural means, because when they put on labels and they put natural flavoring, ain't no telling what that natural flavoring is. So yeah. So when they feed the animals soy is found in most powdered protein supplements. Soy is high in estrogen and fed to cattle and animals to enhance growth. While you may think that you're not eating soy, the animal that you are consuming were and are still being raised on soy. It's a natural product, but can be equally harmful as artificial food due to animals being bred off of soy. Inadequate or excessive amounts of soy can also cause damage to health, such as breast cancer, heart disease, depression. For men, can enhance feminine behavior due to the increased estrogen levels in their food intake. So, ladies, if y'all dealing with a bunch of guys that got some more feminine ways than you do, tell them to lay off the meat and all of the GMO products. Tell them to lay off, okay? 90 to 95% of soy being produced is also genetically modified. How that is, I'll have to look further into that. 60% of fast food has soy in it. Soy is also used for cosmetics, plastic, and landscaping. So that just gives you an idea of how diverse soy really is in its nature. So yeah, soy contains anti-nutrients and block the absorption of good nutrients. Soy has two different properties that make it what it is to where it fattens up cattle to the extent that it does. Cadmium is a heavy metal that puts the thyroid at risk for autoimmune diseases. And when I say puts the thyroid at risk, I mean for humans, not for anything else, because when you really think about it, what else eats the food that we do other than us? Other than when you see somebody throw something away in the trash and you see a squirrel eating it or some shit like that. Soy also contains phytates, which are enzyme inhibitors that block protein absorption. Phytates deplete energy and block absorption of minerals that enhance bone development, causing immune dysfunction and cardiovascular disease. So, just like in that documentary Dominion that I mentioned earlier, when these animals are fed the soy, it pretty much makes them grow to the extent that their bones can't even fully develop in time to keep up with them. And in that documentary, it was even showing how the chickens were growing so fast that their hair couldn't even fully grow to cover their bodies. It was ridiculous. And with that being said, like, their bodies couldn't really support their weight because they weren't meant to hold that type of weight. Like, these chickens were so huge. Like, Dominion is on Netflix. Go check it out. You might even be able to catch it on YouTube. So before they make you start paying for it, go do your thing. And of course, cardiovascular diseases. Dis-ease just means that it's causing you to not be at ease. It doesn't necessarily mean like what people would typically think it means, whatever that is. So, yeah. Make sure y'all checking the ingredient labels on whatever food it is that you're eating. And even when you do the research, don't just look at the word and disregard it because you don't know what it means or you think you already know what it means. Like, look into those different words also. Because when those different words are, again, what was it called? When they're joined together like that, carbohydrates, for example, that just right there should be a red flag because that shows you that it wasn't necessarily made in nature, it was made in a laboratory. So if it had to be put together with something else, just think twice. And then I'll also show you a label that has soy in it. Most labels will show soy on them. I probably just wrote on my neck, but it's cool. Supplements should be organic and found in nature. So maybe you have a busy schedule and need something quick. Your next best option will be to check out my smoothie video that I also have on my YouTube account. So whether you're checking out the how to eat good, how to eat well for cheap, I got that video. And you can also check out my smoothie video. And I pretty much rave about the smoothies that I put on there just simply because even I still see the changes that it does for me whenever I indulge in them heavily, when I feel like I need to. So, clear example was when I was having a toothache. Like, this toothache was bothering me. I was trying to eat through it. I was trying to adjust where and how I was chewing, and that just wasn't doing it. This was my body telling me like, hey, buddy, you need to, you feel me, cut back on the food, go ahead and fast, eat something that's, when I say processed, I mean like it's blended up. So a smoothie, it's been through the process of being blended. So with those smoothies, let me see, I was having like 2, maybe 3 smoothies a day for like 3 or 4 days. My tooth stopped hurting. I was able to chew after that. My stomach went down. I lost like 5 pounds just in my midsection. So with those smoothie ingredients, check them out. 2 to 3 smoothies a day. Let me see, 16 ounces. That'll hold you over for a few hours. So check that out. Like I said, you'll also get that free nutrition guide that'll be available at the site. The nutritional guide includes a menu of the best foods that you can consume, and like I said, the meal plan will come separate. So if you need a meal plan, just reach out. We'll get you eating on the right track. We'll get you together. And don't become a slave to the habits that are passed to you. Like, a lot of us indulge in things just simply because that's the way it was done before, or that's all we've seen, and that's pretty much all we know. So if you don't challenge yourself to go outside of your boundaries of things that you already know and have been exposed to, then it would be idiotic to expect growth. You know what I'm saying? Growth happens when you're uncomfortable, so get used to being uncomfortable if you want to grow. Okay. Any questions that I can answer on anything that we discussed, anything related to this topic, comment below. Thank you for being present, for listening, and for watching. TrainLikeCainFitness.com. We out. Make sure y'all put these gems into action, and we are out of here.